You're watching Newsline. I'm Yuko Fukushima. And Tokyo Electric Power Company has resumed work to restore electricity at the disaster-hit Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. The work is part of efforts to regain cooling functions after the March 11th massive earthquake and tsunami. The work follows operations by the Tokyo Fire Department and self-defense forces to douse the plant's number 3 and number 4 reactors with water. The operations through Monday morning were aimed at cooling down pools of spent nuclear fuel rods to prevent leakage of radioactive materials. External power was extended to the electricity distribution panels of the plant's number 2 and number 5 reactors on Sunday, and power can now be supplied to reactors 1, 2, 5, and 6. In order to get the electricity back on at the number 2 reactor, the company plans to check various measuring devices and lighting systems in the plant's central control room and check for electricity leakage in a battery charging room. The number 3 and number 4 reactors are to be connected to the electricity distribution panels on Tuesday. High levels of radiation at the reactors have forced workers to exercise extreme caution. On Monday, smoke was seen coming from the number 2 and 3 reactor buildings. The firm says smoke billowed shortly before 4 p.m. from the southern part of the number 3 reactor building, where a pool for spent nuclear fuel is located. The smoke, which turned black and gray, subsided about 2 hours later. At 6:20 p.m., vapor-like white smoke was seen coming from a crack in the roof of the number 2 reactor structure. The company says the radiation level about 1 kilometer west of the reactors at 5:40 p.m. was 494 microsieverts per hour. The level rose to 1,932 microsieverts about 1 hour later, but dropped to 442 at 8:30 p.m. The company is trying to find out where the change in radiation levels is linked to the smoke, whether the change in radiation levels is linked to the smoke. After the smoke appeared, the firm evacuated its workers from the area, and another water spraying operation scheduled for Monday was canceled. The head of the Tokyo Fire Department's Hyper Rescue Team, Yasuhiro Ishii, talks about the difficulties of the water spraying mission.
You went close to the buildings, and what was your first impression? Before coming here, on NHK programs, we watched the situation of the buildings on screen, but actually going into the buildings, we saw the status of damages by tsunami and the quakes. And the situation inside was really terrible. When we measured the radiation levels, as reported by the news media, in the activity areas, the radiation levels were very high, so we understood and recognized that the mission can be very dangerous. You have an equipment on your chest, and you have the device to measure the radiation level in your hand. Yes, this is a pocket radiation gauge. How much I'm exposed to radiation can be monitored on a timely basis. This device in my hand is the radiation gauge in the atmosphere. This also allows a timely measurement. With these two devices, I went into the site to measure the radiation levels. A high value was constantly shown, and the radiation gauge, please show it. And the radiation readings were rising during the operation, so we were tense. And if we make a mistake in the calculation, the firefighters could be exposed to a high level of radiation. So my mission is to manage the radiation exposure level. That was very important for the entire team. You were an advanced team member. Where did you go first and how? In our team, we have a special disaster response engine surrounded by LED with high level of protection. We approached from the back and checked the location of the engines with a tower. And we checked in advance the location where we are to extend the hoses. We checked and measured the radiation level. So in between the number 2 and number 3 reactor, you parked your fire engine? Yes. It's very close to the reactor buildings. What was the situation around you back then? We were to park a fire engine with a water discharging engine. So whether we can set an outrigger was checked. And I measured the radiation level. It was 60 millisieverts per hour. So how many minutes we can spray water here was also calculated. And what about the location of the fire engine to pump seawater here? You extended the hoses from here, and then the pump engine injected water from here. What was the operation to extend the hoses? It might have been very difficult. After going into the site, we found that there was a lot of debris blocking the roads. We wanted to extend the hoses by car, but we had to do this manually. That was something we were able to check after going inside. You had to lay the hoses manually. It's a very difficult operation. Yes. How was it implemented? When we decided to extend the hoses manually, it would take a long time. And the radiation readings were 70 to 100 millisievert. It was fluctuating in that range. So the exposure to radiation could go up. So on my part, I managed the level of radiation. I myself was always exposed to radiation and checked the exposure level for the other members. Using my radiation readings as a standard, I tried to check for the others.
How were the team members? Well, those members who were trying to extend the hose, they couldn't look at this gadget to see the radiation level, so I had to do it and let the team members know whether they will be able to continue to work or not. They trusted me, my management of the radiation level. You yourself were exposed to the radiation, that's right, because I was with the team members. Always I was, of course, exposed to the radiation. So you put your lives to this, Mr. Ishii, and also the team members of the Hyper Rescue team, and also the Self-Defense Forces members. What are your determinations to do this kind of work? Well, of course, everybody knew this is a very serious disaster in Japan, unprecedented, and unless we work to stop this, of course, everybody has children too, so everybody on the team wanted to do this with a strong determination to rescue our children as well as the people in this country. It's been 10 days.